Estate Agency X, the UK's #1 estate agency podcast discussing the future of estate agency, entrepreneurship and business with hosts Mark Burgess and Rob Brady. So on this episode of Estate Agency X, I'm sitting down with Mark to review the summit that only took place a couple of weeks ago. The sizzle around it, the press has been launching about it, we've been sending emails out to people about it. So you want to know more about what actually happened at the summit and what we're releasing in Iceberg Digital in the future? Listen to this episode. So Mark, in our new studio.
It's nice, isn't it?
It's nice, isn't it? So I wanted to get you on to talk about the Iceberg Summit that's been sizzling for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And what that was, what it encompassed it. We've obviously done previous summits, but this one was very special and what we launched there. So where do I start? Okay, so firstly, what did you think of the day?
Yeah, it was great. It was a special day for me, really, because I was saying at the summit that I grew up in East London and sort of stumbled around different jobs, lived in a couple of miles away from where we held the summit in one of the poorest boroughs of East London, and was kind of going nowhere in life for a long period of time. And then, I've managed to sort of rewrite that script and to bring it full circle and hold the summit just a couple of miles away from where I used to live. We held it in Stratford at one of the technology hubs. Was pretty special, really. So it was a great day for me personally, and then hopefully it was a great day for our clients. We had lots of positive feedback. Social media kind of blew up. So all in all, I think it was pretty good.
I certainly love the look and feel of it. Come back to it, the banners, the posters.
Yeah, it was good.
Uzair shining through.
Yeah.
She certainly bought it that day. So let's get into why did we put on a summit initially for our clients and anyone sort of come along and explore what we're about to do?
Yeah, so we've always done events, usually under the brand of Estate Agency X, whereby we started Estate Agency X back in 2019, the events, 18 even, the events, along with this podcast, to try to really just bring some outside knowledge into the industry. Our Estate Agency X events are not really the sort of thing that you would get at any other event. We have outside people like Daniel Priestley and Mike Symes and all of those kinds of people come in and talk about how business works generally, and then we try and translate that down into estate agency. So we've kind of always done those events for the last 6-7 years. And at those events, we've often spoken a little bit about what's coming in Lifecycle and how it's working. But the summit was a chance for us really just to not kind of make it about anything other than where Iceberg is going as a company, what products are coming out this year, what we're working on, because people are interested in that sort of stuff. So we put together a very small Iceberg Summit at the very end of 2023, which was quite nice. And then the start of 2025, we just decided let's do it a little bit on a little bit of a bigger scale. There was a lot of industry press there, industry kind of influencers, if you want to call it that, and a lot of our clients. And we just spoke directly about where Iceberg's going and the direction. So we'll do that every year now.
I certainly enjoyed it because I like the idea of seeing a lot of those. Like, we've got industry influences, but we've actually got clients' industry influences in there as well.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of, obviously, I saw everyone connecting, and we've got that WhatsApp group that always people can communicate with, and a lot of them haven't ever met each other face to face, and it was like you could see actually the clients going, do you know what, it's really good.
A lot of people said to me that had never been to any of our events at all before, this is totally different to most estate agency events. Like, there was a chap there called Mark Burgess, who, if anyone's been in the estate agency a long time, they'll know Mike. He started some of the very first estate agency softwares, GMW, and then he built Expert Agent, and he's been out of the industry for a little while, and he's sort of, I invited him because I have a lot of respect for Mike and what he achieved. And he was just saying to me afterwards, I've never seen anything like it. Never seen agents talking to each other like this. It's like, he's just never seen anything like it. So that was great. And quite a few people said that to us.
It was nice to see that. So, where do you want to go with what you want to talk about regards to like the summit? Like, because I know we want to do an episode specifically on AI and Uzair, and we can really get into the nitty gritty of that. But like, let's look at just Lifecycle 5, not just Lifecycle 5, because it's an evolution in itself. But like in the summit, we finally sort of launched Lifecycle 5 and what would be coming in Lifecycle 5 as its next updated version. So is there anything you want to pull through on that you're excited about?
Yeah, I'm excited about all of it, really. I think one of the things that I was talking about at the summit was that when we started this journey back in sort of 2016, 17, when we sat down as a company and decided that we were going to have to go down this road, it was because my background was one whereby I could see the massive change that big data systems were going to have on the world. We'd started using them ourselves, and I was looking across at a estate agency, and it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about, trying to just make a product for the sake of it. It was just, I've got strong connections with a estate agency, and we could genuinely see that, like, without these systems in place, estate agency just won't exist anymore. I'm not saying that you can't do estate agency now without those systems. I'm talking about the future. Right now, you can do estate agency on a pen and paper if you want to. So making those systems back then was the priority for us because we could see where this was going. We didn't know exactly where artificial intelligence was going to go, but we knew that big data systems would lead to machine learning, which would lead to artificial intelligence in some way. All seemed a little bit ridiculous at the time, to be honest, to most people, but you could kind of see it was inevitable. So back then, we faced a massive challenge in that what we could see the eventual outcome being, i.e. websites that rebuild themselves based on who visits the website, or marketing systems that automatically put the right content in front of the right people in order to make them feel more aligned with your brand, and all of that kind of stuff was all a very futuristic back then. But we could see that it wasn't going to be possible for estate agents because of the software they were using. So therefore, a giant software company could come along and just wipe estate agency out, like your sort of Amazons or your, whatever other industries you can look at that have had that happen to them, Netflix, that sort of thing. So our biggest priority was to build a big data system that estate agents could use and start the process of getting their data into the right formats, which is obviously a massive challenge. And we spent a lot of years doing that. We made Lifecycle and we launched that in 2020. Agents started using it. 2021, we added more CRM functionality, and it was all not a rush for us, but like the biggest priority was actually getting people to start using a big data system. Now that those milestones are out of the way, we can start focusing on some of the things that are maybe they're probably a bit more nice to have, but they're really important to people. It's just, you can't do it the other way around, because if you had the nice to have first, you still wouldn't have the big data system underneath it. So now we're able to start getting to the stage whereby we can start improving the user interface, for instance, making it not just the best software to use, but the easiest software to use. We can start looking at building a property management section. We've never done that before because property management is very transactional. Yes, there is still stuff in there that could be used in machine learning and artificial intelligence and all that sort of stuff, but it's very, very transactional. It's almost like, it's like collecting people's money and paying it back to people. And it's not so much based around marketing and winning business. So we'd always focused on, look, if you want to really move the dial in your business, you have to get more business to start with.
Yeah.
Our CTO has a great analogy of like, if you opened a pizza restaurant, your primary problem isn't that you need to be able to cook 10 pizzas in 10 minutes. Your primary problem is having 10 people come into the shop. And once you've got that, then you can move on to the problem of like, now how do I produce more pizzas, right? So we've always focused on like, if you really, really want to move the dial in your business, you need more people coming to you, or possibly you just need people that are more convinced that they want to use you, so they pay a higher fee. Either way, Lifecycle can achieve both of those things for people just by them doing their everyday work. And so we focused on that, and we focused on building a big data system that would work with machine learning and artificial intelligence, even though people were like, this is a little bit too far out there for us.
Like back in 2016, you're thinking like, there was a lot of people that are into their social media then. And so thinking about that next level, it's like, well, video social media is the thing to do.
Yeah.
And then even like the people who were, I'm not doing any social media, the ones who tend to find are now doing the social media. And you got that next wave of people, those next wave of stages, like, I've now already set that up. I now need to know, like, can I get my videos placed in front of certain people?
Absolutely.
And when I collect that information from social media, how am I farming it? How am I doing stuff with it?
Generally, a estate agency is sort of 4 or 5 years behind like the most cutting edge trends.
Yeah.
And 2015, 16, the most cutting edge trends, people were saying like, you're a media company.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not a media company, you are going to disappear. And here we are, even 10 years later, some estate agents are just getting on the bandwagon of like, we need to be doing loads of video and be a media company. But for at least the last 3 or 4 years, the very cutting edge have been saying you're a data company. If you're not a data company, like, you're going out of business. So I know it's not quite there in estate agency yet, but it's coming. Yeah. And we're the only people that are preparing a estate agency for it. So they were our first goals. Lifecycle 5 excites me because we've got all of that. We are the only system that can do artificial intelligence properly. We're not the only system that can do artificial intelligence, because there's plenty of off-the-shelf packages that you can use. You just go straight online and use ChatGPT for stuff if you want to, or any of the things that plug into it. But we're the only system that can do artificial intelligence properly for estate agents. And as you said, we'll do another episode on Uzair and how that works. But that's really exciting. Putting the data and the artificial intelligence to the side for a minute, I'm just excited about some of the functions that I can now bring in, which some people may have thought, why didn't you just do this in the beginning? Like, there were reasons we couldn't do it in the beginning, but now we can do, like I said, like a much smoother, nicer user interface with people. We can do property management side of things. We can do prospecting side of things. We can do amazing key management. Some things that in their own right are not revolutionary, just as a headline point, but tie it all together with all the rest of the stuff that we do, and suddenly it becomes like, why would you even consider anything else?
Is there anything you want to particularly say that's coming in Lifecycle 5, as in like those features or functions? Or are you going to still wait for it to sizzle a little bit more until?
No, it's fine. I mean, I it sounds really boring, but I really like the key management system.
Do you know what though? You like when we were doing the demos over however many times long we've been sorting this out, and it's not like we just build it tonight and that's it. I was even excited about it because it brought me back into the old agency days of like, like I was saying that call, like I have to search a PDF document, like Control F. I know that it's because I had to search a keyword just on Dupix of like the 750 property portfolio. A contractor would throw back in their keys, and you wouldn't even be able to search the key thing. You'd have to go and find it on a key thing to then work out is the address of that property, and then go and put it back on the peg. And like, for how we were designing that, I was like, I'm even excited about it. Yeah. So
it's crazy. I mean, you've probably got better experience of it than me, because when I worked in a estate agency, there wasn't even software, so
we still had that and the key book.
Yeah, a book and the cabinet, right? And what excites me about it, even though I haven't worked in a estate agency since it's been computerized, like not as an estate agent, it just seems still a mishmash for people. Yeah. Like they're still looking for, a lot of estate agents have got a third-party app. Like you've just said there, some people are using their software, like it's not great. Lifecycle's not great at it. Dupix not great at it. Like nothing's that useful. And so I think it's because it's one of them things that's kind of, if it seems like a low priority, but actually it causes people a lot of grief. They spend a lot of time fucking around with keys. So if the system was a bit simpler, if the system would automatically send emails chasing people up if the keys were overdue, then that probably would make people, as small as it seems, probably wouldn't make people's lives a lot easier.
And if anyone's listening out there, like the electricians of the world, those ones that like invoice you 7-8 months later, those are the ones that it can automatically chase, which there's nothing frustrating where, despite you telling the teams in the morning to get your keys ready, they go, yeah, I'm going to go and do that. And then something happens, and then they decide to get their keys ready like 20 minutes before actually supposed to be going out. And they go, can't find that key.
Yeah.
And everyone looks at each other. It's like, who had the key?
Who's the last person?
I didn't have it. Like, your viewing was last Tuesday. Yeah, no, but I bought it back. Like, there was no log to say this person bought it back. So,
or even what does it look like? What does the key look like?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that you'd and anyone listening probably relate to this. We'd have scanned copies from the photocopier, but they'll be in folders on Earth. You'd have to go through that one. You get it through. You have to then go through the coding to find the set. And then which set was it? Was it this set? Was it that set? So just simplest things. Although it doesn't sound sexy.
Yeah.
The operational people out there and the senior people who are the ones that have to make the phone calls to the landlords or the sellers to say, I know we're marketing your property, but have you got key? Yeah, we lost your keys. Can you give us another one and not disinstruct us? That's what I'm excited about.
So that's nice. That's a nice one. That'd be really good. It's well thought out. I mean, I'm sure as with every piece of software, as it goes out there, you think of improvements, but I really like it. Obviously, property management is a big one. But what we found with property management was there is actually no such thing as property management. Like, when you really get into the conversations with people, they say, it starts off with them saying, like, I'd like your software to do property management. And then the more you get into the conversations, it's like, okay, can you show me your current property management system? Well, we use, this company for referencing. Oh, right, okay. And then we use this company for logging problems, right? And then we use this software for collecting payments. And then we use this software for, like, just producing tenancy agreements. And we use this software for this. It's like, there's so many software. There's not actually even though people say, like, oh, I want an all-in-one property, there's not actually a property management system at the moment that exists. So I'm excited about it because we've been able to create a whole new department, a whole new team, and really make it a product that it won't affect any of the work that we're doing on Lifecycle. It won't affect any of the work we're doing with Uzair, the artificial intelligence. It won't affect any of the Neuron work for the website. A whole new team. It can have the dedicated resources that it deserves. I'm not planning on going, right, bang, it's, I don't know, June, and here's the property management system. You should all move over to it. Like, that would be a nightmare for our agents and a nightmare for us. I just wanted at the summit people to know the kind of the route that we're going on.
Yeah.
We are going to build property management. We'll do it in pieces. We'll do little bits. And I guess if you came to the party late and you'd never heard any of this and you hadn't already been a Lifecycle customer, you might join and think, well, why did you stop there? Like, we won't have stopped there. It's just that we're doing it in pieces. Maybe, perhaps, for argument's sake, let's say perhaps it starts with, instead of, at the moment, you can do all the front end of lettings. You do the market appraisals, you do the marketing, you do the listings, the viewings, the sending to the portals, the offers. You tie up the deal. So maybe we just take one step further into, like, okay, now let's keep track of the deal through referencing and tenancy agreements and moving in.
Yeah.
And then perhaps, and the inventory. And then perhaps, okay, and now the managing of problems and now the payments. And so I'm not imagining that we're just going to hit a date and go, like, bang, there you go, move everything into property management. It's the best system in the world. We've got a great group of agents that we work with, and anybody that's listening to this that's maybe not an agent and is thinking about it, we'll just work with our agents over time. And we've already been working on it for 2 years, speaking with agents, building the infrastructure. And we'll just make sure that we deliver them a world-class property management system like the rest of the system is.
That's going to be exciting, that is.
Yeah, it'd be really good. As I say, it's not a message to our clients to say, good news, you can have a property management system in a month. It's a message to them to say, you don't need to think long-term about switching softwares to something. If you're struggling with your property management, I will solve that problem for you, just like I solved your marketing problems and your sales CRM problems.
Yeah. And then Lifecycle 5 has got an update marketing-wise.
Yeah, so we have an entire new email marketing system. We were the first company ever to bring real email marketing inside someone's CRM. Up until that point, people had had to go outside and use companies like MailChimp or, whoever it might have been. We were the first company to do that, but as I say, that was, we built that back in 2019. So 6 years later, we're retiring our old email builder system. We've got a brand new email builder, state of the art, drag, drop, make things look incredible, templates, drag properties into emails. You can even, because Lifecycle is a marketing system, most agents are probably not familiar with this idea, but in Lifecycle is where your content gets created for your website, your blogs, that sort of stuff. You can either write it yourself, or you can use some of our off-the-shelf content, or you can ask our artificial intelligence to write your blogs. So let's just say you or the system or whoever has written a blog about what to do if you're not happy with your estate agent. If you wanted to send an email out about it, you can literally go to the email builder. You can see all your blogs. You can pick the one that says what to do if you're not happy with your agent, and you can literally drag it into the email builder.
Nice.
It's like pretty crazy. You could drag a few properties in underneath if you wanted. You could put a nice heading on it. It's pretty cool. So that's nice. That'll be a massive benefit to our customers. They don't need an extra email marketing system to be able to create fantastic emails. We also have a new prospecting center.
I'm excited about
that's going into Lifecycle. So Lifecycle has always been really focused on the marketing side in terms of winning listings, like we spoke about before, and in terms of how you influence people to pay a higher fee. But we've dug around for gold before that is trying to influence the people before they go on the market. So it finds people that, have registered perhaps for property alerts, but have got a property to sell, not yet on the market, or instant valuations, or old market appraisals. Never lose touch with them, like always stay in contact with them. We've always done all of that, and it's always been pretty successful for our agents.
And even on the last one on that one is even the updating of old CSV files from an old CRM.
Yeah, absolutely.
That on there has been like the gold of.
Yeah, when they move from their old CRM, they import everything.
How many that have just converted into market appraisals, and then when you look back like 2 years when they joined in, especially when a lot of our clients moved in 2020, they're like, even my most recent one, we had a new client join. There are two stories I'll tell you how cool this is. So I had a new client of us join, been trading for years, uploaded his old data into Lifecycle, never done really any of that sort. Obviously pumped out some content. First newsletter went out, started igniting the database. He had a landlord call him and basically said, "Hi Dan, you haven't contacted me for ages, but like we did business about 7 years ago. You just prompted me, I've got a property I need to let. Can you come around and take it on?" And he's like, "This is nuts." And then another one, I'll be honest with you, is we had a model which I went and did a coaching session with, and we're looking at prospecting in the platform. And I think the worst offender was one of the guys that actually organised it. And he messaged me on Monday night, because we'd gone for that session. He had some people in the Dash system saying, "Hey, these are the people you should be calling." And he's like, "Just before I give you a win," he said, "I called up this person, made an inquiry for our website midway through last year, didn't really respond back, didn't think much of them, got in the system, seen they're active, they read what you said, reached out to them. They've got a £3 million house they want to sell. So I'm going to aim to go out there next week, and they want to try and buy a £3.5 million house locally as well." And he's like, "He's like, he's like, 45 grand to him in fees, which is, and without that, you would have had it as just an old CSV file sat there like any other CRM doing nothing."
Yeah.
So sorry, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people, like I say, don't quite know how that works inside Lifecycle, but you can see who's active, you can see who's reading content, you can see it's tracking all these people's activities, so that's what would have alerted him to it. But yeah, so we've always been pretty good at trying to predict who's going to come on the market from that perspective. But now we've done a link up with 20EA, who are the kings of finding the addresses of properties that are already on the market. They've also got a wealth of data from their 20CI parent company on that they supply to people like Experian and Sky and all of that sort of stuff about the demographics of people who's having babies, who's getting divorced, all of that sort of stuff. So we've done a combination with these guys whereby, like, from inside the Lifecycle system, you can actually see what's on the market in your area. It's about 80% of the stock. Flats, as anyone who's used a system like that will know, like flats, it's not that accurate with apartments and flats, but houses, pretty much all of them. So you'll be able to sit inside your Lifecycle system and see what's going on in the marketplace. Okay, you could potentially do that if you went and logged into something like 20EA. Just another place to log in, which is a bit of a pain to start with. But now what Lifecycle will do is it will then cross-reference back across all of the contacts with all of the people that you've ever had and start filling in the blanks for you, going like, actually, you know the person who lives here. They did an instant valuation 6 years ago. They've been reading your newsletter. They were on the website last month. So it will fill in those blanks, and then the artificial intelligence side of our system will look across the whole system as to what you've sold nearby, how successful you've been in the area, what buyers you've got that match against that profile, what the buyers' positions are, who's got nothing to sell, who's already got a mortgage sorted. And if you really want it to, it will just construct the whole conversation for you as to like, how do you win this listing? Why should they be listing with you? And if you want it to go even further, it would send that email for you if you know the person, or if you don't know the person, then I guess you can copy and paste that into Word and send them a letter, or post or hand deliver them a letter or whatever. We're not talking about the type of prospecting that agents are used to, whereby they just do mass letters that all say the same thing to houses that have been on the market for 7 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that at all. I can't see the return on investment in it, even though I know a lot of people like doing that. This is more specific, one-to-one type things, like here's a person who you know who's just lost their buyer, they're advertising, and you did a market appraisal for them 2 years ago, and we've got 7 buyers that match. 3 of them have already got their mortgage sorted with nothing to sell, and you've sold 4 houses nearby recently for over asking price. Like, you know.
And top of that as well, because of the marketing intelligence that we've done before that, the layering up of that data, like, working with clients, I'm really excited about this, because it's working with clients. Like we can do some of that, like you said, the system brings in that part to it. It's just that you've got another layer of information. But even going down to the point now of like, not only have that information, because you've got marketing on top of it, and we have automated content and journeys, and they've built all that out. Like all of a sudden, it's like this person's been on the market for 6-7 weeks, and they've just read was reducing the early auction, and they've just read what are the next steps to change an agent. So like, not only it's just
tying all the dots together.
It just goes, hey, there you go. Like, here's all the problems they've had as well. So when you actually phone call them up, it's easy to just have all that information, or you said, drop them an email, whatever, drop them a WhatsApp. Whatever.
Imagine if you were just looking at some prospecting data in a 20EA system or whatever other system you might be using for it, and thinking to yourself, it'd be nice to know if we've ever dealt with any of these people. And not only that, what would be even better would be if I could sort them in order of who was the last person to go on our website, so that you knew that the person at the top of the list, right, not only have you given them a market appraisal 2 years ago, but they were on your website 3 minutes ago. I mean, that is actually a possibility. You just don't know about it.
Yeah.
But if you did know about it, how much easier would that be? And if you knew that 3 minutes ago they were not just on your website, but they were on your website reading what to do if you're not happy with your agent. It's so simple. So we'll do that, but we'll also work with 20EA to work on the demographic side of things that we spoke about. So we can supercharge what we were doing before, whereby we were showing who's likely to come on the market through instant valuations, who's been active on your website, who's out viewing, that's got a house to sell. And we can layer on top of that the demographical data that's saying we think these are the top 10% of houses that are likely to come on the market, tie all of that together. So now you've got 2 sections. You've got on-the-market prospecting and you've got off-market prospecting. And the system will just tie it all together for you to make it easier for you to be able to actually get listings. Mad, isn't it?
It is
absolutely mad. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some, bumps in the road with it, but I'm sure also it will continue to improve over time. The point is that Lifecycle and Iceberg, more than Lifecycle, I guess, with our various different products, because, sorry to jump around on it, but like, the other thing you've got to remember is that we've got Neuron websites. And Neuron websites, for those people that don't know, what happens is when someone visits your website, if that customer's inside your Lifecycle database, Neuron will rebuild the website faster than you can blink to be applicable to that person. So imagine you go out, all right, let's think about this. You go out, someone does an instant valuation. They come into your database, you try and convert it, you never really get through to them. It kind of gets forgotten about. They're still in Lifecycle, they're still receiving content. And let's say that 3 months later, they book a market appraisal. Great. Like, it's had some influence. Maybe you don't know anything about it, but you went and did the market appraisal. You chased up the market appraisal for a few weeks until it got to that point whereby, like, you sort of gave up on it. Gone. But it's sitting inside your system as a market appraisal proposal sent is the status. And then, without you realizing it, it goes on the market with your competitor, number 24 estates. What Lifecycle will do now is Lifecycle will know that's happened. So Lifecycle will change the status of the market appraisal to instructed a competitor. And a few things happen now. They drop into a different marketing journey. So they start receiving email content that is more relevant to maybe if they weren't that happy with their estate agent, or maybe they're just getting advice around, like, if they're on the market and they're not getting viewings, maybe they should do this. And they subconsciously start thinking, like, bloody hell, Rob's more in touch with me than my own estate agent, right? But because we have Neuron websites, when they go to your website to read any of that content that are being emailed, or just to visit, or just to check out a property, they're subtly seeing other little things around what to do if you're not happy with your agent that I wouldn't see because I'm not on the market with another agent. So it all just starts piecing together because the system can now automatically know if you're on the market with somebody else, if your sales just fallen through, if you're likely to come on the market. You start receiving the right content, you start seeing the right things on your website. It's pretty mind-blowing in terms of that happening for your small estate agency or medium-sized estate agent, whatever it is. It's not that crazy for us to imagine that's how the rest of the world works. We know that's how the rest of the world works. We just don't know how to do it in a estate agency because we're trying to use 13 different systems.
Yeah.
Oh, I know this can work. I've seen it. It's happened to me. I looked at this pair of shoes and then I saw it here and then I saw it there. And before I know it, it was popping up on my Facebook feed. You don't have to build the system. Like, companies out there have systems for that. It's just that system doesn't exist in a estate agency other than Lifecycle.
I think if you look at it from like what you just said there, got 20EA, you got your CRM, you got a marketing platform. You might have some crossovers where they connect in some capacity, but then like your CRM doesn't really give you the full data of those matching because it can't work it out. The address is in there and it's not really live, it's not really active. Your website is just a feed. So when you really look at that, like going back to just basic forms of AI and automations and stuff like that, it's like, what's the machine, like you said, big data machine, what is running behind this to say, hey, now I know this, that changes, this does, and it's a central format.
Yeah, and people say, oh, you can do it, you can API to this one, you can API to it doesn't work.
And that, this actually, when you were saying it, actually reminded me, I was literally sat down with only a client the other day, and this is even just happening now, and I was thinking this is going to be so cool. We were running for a property that someone had literally been active. I was like, oh, why are they active? Like, we were just going through some stuff and realised, he's like, oh, that's a client of ours, just completed on a house. So we went back for their timeline, and it was June 2022, they came into the system. I think it was like a Zoopla instant lead valve thing, 6 months, newslettered in, opening up. Then obviously you could tell the next year was the year that they started to move. So that was in mid-23. He went out and actually did the valuation, and actually he lost the valuation to the other agent. He said I was frustrated. So he changed the status. It went off and you could see the thing. And we remembered, he said, I was on the call and he was like, it would come back to things like 5 mistakes we made making the home isn't selling. And he's like, I remember that because I remember getting an email from that to say, this person's just done that. So I called him up and he had won the valuation back. And then obviously he'd gone through that process and then lo and behold, it's completed. And I was thinking, it's not a short-term process on that, but you think about that just one individual case where some of the automation starts to take place. They're in the system. You haven't even gone out to them. They start to receive journey content based on it. You start to see that. and then you're calling these people up. It's just a different level of prospecting to, I'm just going to try and randomly call people.
Yeah, sensibly.
I'm going to speak to every single person in my database.
You can still do the send 10,000 leaflets. You can still randomly call people in your database if you want. It doesn't have to be one or the other. But why would you not also want to throw into the mix, like, this guy is on the market with another agent. You know who he is, and he was on your website 3 minutes ago reading what to do if you're not happy with your agent. Why would you go no to that in order to do leaflets or letters? Like, if you want to do leaflets or letters, knock yourself out. Track it over time and see which you get the better return on. But why would you say no to the other one?
Even more so, like you've noticed that someone is potentially haven't got their details.
Yeah.
Even if you did send that personalised letter out to that person to something that then is in the database, the website, a link, heads up registrations, an instant veil, whatever that might be, you get that details, and then you can then see whenever they're active. It's just a different level. So
I think go on. Sorry,
I was to say, what before we go down the episode of just being on that prospecting tool, was there anything else you felt like that was exciting about it? Because
I'm trying to remember everything I covered at the summit now. I think as we've said a couple of times in this podcast, we're going to have a podcast that's specifically about Uzair, so I won't go into that too much. But I think whilst estate agents could and us get excited about those front end things that we just spoke about, what's really exciting is that it's all going into a big data system. And if that doesn't mean anything to you, just keep an ear out for the episode that we're about to record after this, that we'll release shortly, around Uzair and why that's exciting. Because this is the type of stuff that we dreamt about 8 years ago, 9 years ago, when we started building the system, that it will literally put you out of sight of your competitors. Like, you will reach a point, if you're using a big data system for all this kind of information, you're going to reach the stage whereby it's not possible for someone to open up and take you on. You know, it'd be like the idea of somebody taking on Amazon, you know. So it doesn't matter if you're big or small. That's what's beautiful about it. So overall, I guess to summarize it, the main thing I was excited about with the summit was just this culmination of like all this work that we've been doing, which some people bought into, some people thought, yeah, that's brilliant, but I don't see that future just yet. And we just sort of laid there like a lion in the grass, waiting, thinking, well, this is coming. And when it does, like, there's only going to be one option here. Like, that moment just arrived.
we should leave it there. It's good finish, Mark.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed this episode. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to this Estate Agency X podcast. Can you make sure that you're actually subscribed to this podcast channel if you liked the content? It helps us massively to get better guests, and it just helps us generally. So you might think you're subscribed, but just have a double check, whatever your podcast platform of preference is, that you're actually subscribed, and then that way we can continue to grow the channel and get better and better guests for you.